Hello everyone, my name is Shuang and I am an assistant professor of graphic design at Virginia Tech.
Hi everyone, this is Xinran. I'm a designer at Blue Cadet, an interactive experience design studio. Today we are presenting our research topic, visual translation and cultural bridging, practiced by our collective studio group.
The topic of translation has always attracted scholars and artists to create work around it. Growing up within another culture and linguistic system and having the privilege of a multicultural background, we're both especially very fascinated by different ways translation can take. We came across a book through a design project at MSR titled as Is That a Fish in Your Ear by British translator David Bellows. He suggested that language shapes how we see the world, but our shared feelings and understanding making translation possible. This led us to a key question. What can bridge the gap in language translation and connect different cultures?
This notion aligns with Otto Neuhardt's motto, words divide, pictures unite. In the 1920s, Otto Neuhardt founded Isotype, which pioneered simple pictorial graphics to convey complex information across national and social boundaries.
Xinran and I met at MICA GDMFA program in 2021. We each worked on projects related to cultural and self-identity and were fascinated by the challenge of cross-cultural translation and communication. Later, we established our collective practice, a Shanghai-based design agency that primarily works on branding, type, and environmental graphics. Ever since, we have been designing with cultural identity and language system, focusing on diversifying design and combining traditional assets with technology.
While exploring this direction, we realized that translation can't always be fully decoded. There are words, phrases, and meanings that simply do not translate between languages. This raises an important question for us. How can graphic design translate the non-translatable elements between cultures? In translation, conveying meaning within a cultural context is challenging. Yan Fu, the first Chinese scholar to translate English into Chinese, identified three key difficulties: faithfulness, xing, to the original idea; expressiveness, da, for clarity; and elegance, ya, to preserve rhetorical beauty. These often become untranslatable elements, a challenge that extends to visual design. How can we uphold faithfulness, expressiveness, and elegance across cultures? To explore this, we draw inspirations from Chinese artists specializing in Hanzi and cross-cultural design. For instance, Taiwanese designer Wang Zhizhong blends meaning and context in his bilingual designs, using visual hints that can be inferred by non-Chinese speaking readers. Chinese artist Xu Bing creates nonsensical Chinese characters with English alphabet, blurring the linguistic boundaries between East and West.
As a starting point of the research on this topic, my thesis project, A Poetic Space, explored Asian Chinese poems through immersive visualizations, transforming the poem into an experience. These Asian poems, rich with nature-related themes, present unique challenges for translation. Asian Chinese poetry possesses certain traits that invite artists and translators to engage closely with its expression. While replicating the poem in another language may be impossible, the abstract meaning often transcends cultures, and I sought to explore this through graphic design. For instance, in my visualization of the poem In a Cabin on Lotus Hill on a Snowy Night, the poet portrays a scene of isolation in a small cabin atop of a mountain. This imagery is common in Chinese paintings, where poems and paintings are deeply interconnected. However, for foreign audiences, this scene may be difficult to picture or imagine as it embodies as a specific tradition. In the poem, the phrase, by the Wattle Gate, I hear dogs bark, describes a scene of imagined solitude. But what is a Wattle Gate? For non-Chinese audiences, this cultural symbol may be unfamiliar. It is a traditional gate made of firewood, symbolizing the household's humble status. To visualize this, I use simple line-based motion graphics, sound design, and typography to invite audiences into the world of Asian Chinese poetry. I want to avoid stereotypical visual representation of Chinese culture, using design to translate the visual elements into a digital modern world while maintaining the cultural essence. And here's the visualization of another poem on loneliness titled as Snowy River. I have also experimented with interactive media to translate the poetry and finally decided on this minimalistic approach. When translating Chinese cultures, it is often difficult to convey the rhythm, parallelism, and conciseness, as well as the artistic imagery and atmosphere. In my thesis, animation and sound were also designed, strengthening the visuals to embody the environment described. Afterward, I collaborated with Xinran and Yanjie on our studio branding, which delves into bridging Hanzi and Chinese culture with English, exploring the connections between those two often distant cultures.
Our self-branding illustrates our Taoism-inspired design philosophy through Chinese type design while extending this style to English typefaces. Our brand philosophy, from void to being, we create, is rooted in the homophonic connection between Wu Wei, our action, and Wu Wei, non-action in Chinese. Paradoxically, we believe that our action aligns with the Taoist concept of non-action, adapting to nature and maintaining dynamic balance. Our design embodies this philosophy by drawing inspiration from the mortise and tenon structure, which relies on the natural fitting of materials for stability, symbolizing natural order and dynamism. In our typography, we use blocks as the foundation unit, borrowing the block structure of Chinese characters to express our cultural identity. In the posters, the use of positive and negative space further emphasizes the interrelation of the two words. We also deconstructed the four components of our logo Wu, which means our, to develop a set of English typefaces to pair with the Chinese glyphs in our posters, creating a fusion of both languages.
Meanwhile, in my teaching experience at Kansas City Art Institute and Virginia Tech, I emphasize the importance of diversifying design perspectives. In my elective course, Cross-Culture, Cross-Space, I encourage students to explore untranslatable words from other cultures that connect with their own experiences and to visualize the meaning through design. Adapted from MassArt's Untranslatable Word Dictionary, this project challenges students to explore cross-cultural communication through visual methods. One student designed an accordion book in memory of their uncle, using a broken typewriter to translate the Russian word toska, which means the deepest sorrow that's undescribable. Another student visualized the Filipino word kilig, which means this butterfly romantic excitement feeling, through a series of typographic posters celebrating their relationship with their partner. I also encourage students at Virginia Tech to experiment with new technologies, creating interactive projects that help with visual translation. Through classroom collaborations with students at Doshika University in Kyoto, Japan, I observed how culture and design education shape project outcomes. Two groups of students, one in the US, one in Japan, created completely different book designs based on Frankenstein. This raises questions about how cultural backgrounds influence the translation process and how foreign language learners and native speakers might approach translation differently. In a recent exercise, I asked students to research a non-Western designer and their culture, then create a poster in response. This kind of diverse design research not only enriches students' understanding, but also prepares them for working in a globalized professional landscape.
Our research demonstrates how graphic design can bridge cultural and linguistic nuances, providing a model for similar projects across diverse languages and cultures. We aim to promote innovative visual methods that draw inspiration from various cultures, shifting the focus away from Western design philosophies and fostering appreciation for underrepresented cultures. For future explorations, we actively seek collaboration opportunity with designers from diverse cultural backgrounds to deepen our exploration of visual translation. Additionally, we are broadening our collective practice to focus on multicultural, multi-script research. We also look forward to integrating potential workshops and collaborations into design education while encouraging broader community involvement.
Thank you, and here's our contact info. Feel free to connect with us or drop us a line. We're eager to collaborate on more exciting opportunities in the future.